My fiance sent me a clip of John Bon Jovi singing at a concert. It did not sound like him. Like when do, a woman needs to know when to hang up her thong. Can Bon Jovi not sing anymore, or was it just a bad thing? Because he's not really that old. So, like, when does somebody fold it up and just be like, okay, if I don't sound the same, or is it just another iteration and it's campy and you're just seeing the person? What's the expiration date on somebody? Like, when do you say, okay, the table went cold, I'm walking out of here? You're not grabbing every last dollar. But I just want to know, did anyone else hear about that? Because my fiance sent me a video of Bon Jovi, and he was singing a song that, like, we all know. I can't remember which one it was. And I was like, what song is that? And he said it's not like, is it Shot to the Heart? One of the songs that I think we all know. My guest today is Ukrainian ballroom dancer Maksim Chmerkovskiy. Before Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24th, Max was best known for his work on Dancing with the Stars. But when he escaped Ukraine, the world came to know him as an advocate. He stepped forward to share what is really happening in Ukraine and what it felt like during the invasion, so that we could all understand the magnitude of this crisis and take action. His story is inspiring and a reminder that there's so much more work left to be done in Ukraine. Here's our conversation. How are you?
How are you?
I'm well. It's so funny to have reconnected with you. Years ago, I think you did my talk show, but how did we know each other to begin with? Is that how we first met?
I
feel like I really know you. I don't remember how we met, but I think you did the show, right?
I don't remember, to be honest. And I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, I know you very well. I speak of you on a first name basis. I have no idea why. And I feel like we keep doing stuff together, but never really, we always kind of brush it off to, like, when we have time, we'll hang out and all that. But normally we just kind of like, I don't know. I speak very highly of you. I think you are, great, entrepreneur. I look up to, success of people, and yours. I remember for some reason that, it's one of those successes that I looked at and I was like, yeah, this is very attainable. This is something that, industry can provide, that, I'm in the right place at the right time around right people. And you were one of those people. So I don't, it's just like, as far as what you asked, kind of like what we think of each other, whether we know each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I kind of feel like I, know about you.
Well, I've always liked you and respected you and your brother. And I know many of the people that are on this show, and it is a lot about people and attainable success. So I'm glad you brought that up. But I don't really, many of my friends have come on, and very successful people like Mark Cuban or now Sheryl Sandberg. And I didn't know that much about them until we have these deeper conversations. So I want to talk to you about your trajectory, because we were friendly a long time ago and we both moved on in our personal lives and professional lives. And I don't know exactly what you've been up to and what your journey is like. You lived in New Jersey and now you live in LA full time?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So when you were dancing on Dancing with the Stars, where were you living as your primary residence?
New Jersey. I was in Fort Lee.
You were in Fort Lee. Okay. And do you feel like Ukraine is home? Is that really where your heart is? And then in the United States, is it more East Coast or West Coast? Like, how do you feel inside?
Yeah, I feel it inside, and I feel like it comes out more so than anything else is just Brooklyn. I can't lie. It's not a cute thing to say. Val and I talk about this all the time. Like, gangster. Like, listen, I'm not, admittedly, but I did grow up in Brooklyn. That's my first sort of moment of entry into United States, and by that, it's a huge point in my life. And to answer your question, as far as where my heart is, Ukraine and all that, Ukraine is like, and I said it somewhat, Ukraine is like the parent that gave me up for adoption.
Interesting.
And at 14 years old, when I'm leaving, my hometown, my birthplace, we up and we left. We were never coming back. It wasn't like, hey, let's go move for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
No, we were going away. And when we landed, it was sort of like the family kind of like motto for us to just like, okay, here we are. We now making it here. This is not what it is. This is not where we are. So I took it as such. I fell in love with the place. Obviously, there's a lot to fall in love with New York City and, you know, nearby areas. Had a lot of culture growing up. We landed in 94. So the second part of the 90s was like the Renaissance in New York City was continuing, you know, and so I got a whiff of that. Graduated Brooklyn High School, Edward R. Morrow all the way, went to Pace University, you know, did the things that New Yorkers do. And after a year, dropped out because I had a business. I opened my dance studio in New Jersey, and it would just completely interfere with my business and my dance career and all of that stuff. So came to university, said to I remember it was like accounting 101, and the guy came in and said, listen, you got to value your time. And that was like first class of the second year. And I was like, damn, man, I'm in the wrong place. Like I need to be paying more attention to my career as a dancer and my business as a dance instructor.
Interesting. It's funny that you said that you feel most connected to Brooklyn because there is a soulful immigrant pride in places like Brooklyn, like the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And there's a texture. I've been watching Boardwalk Empire recently, and there's a texture to places like this that is hard to really explain to people who didn't. I grew up going to Brooklyn and Queens, and it's just, they're very multicultural melting pots. So there's so much passion and soul and striving and coming from nothing and making something. So, you know, that definitely makes sense with the Constitution and your pride as a man, as a person, as an American man. Like, you definitely have that background. I can feel that texture. I think that's very interesting. And Brooklyn is very much that. So did you grow up poor, lower middle class, middle class? What was your family background?
Proud. So
Proud.
You can right away detect that probably lower middle. No, and I'm not knocking the ones that didn't grow up poor, you know, if we're just going to break it down.
Right.
I just feel like we all have different opportunities. You know, I had an opportunity to, you know, to learn the language a certain way, you know, to get woven into the life of the United States as a country a certain way. You know, I got to travel regardless of my financial status, which is a big deal because we consider travel to be vacation. I was traveling for my career as a professional dancer, you know, and so very shortly after landing in US, literally a week later, my dad parents decided that it is very important for the 14-year-old me to continue dancing and for the 8-year-old Val to step and start doing dancing as well, because that was the plan anyway. You know,
it's the skill set you have. This is where the fish are.
It's also anchored me down. I'm going to speak for me alone. You know, it was 6-year difference with Val. You know Val, you know him too, but you know us a little bit differently, and you know we have a lot of similarities, but some things are bound to be different. You know, I experienced it. I experienced immigration as a teenager, going into these sort of advanced years, right? But you know, the thing is that I immediately moved on, right? So that the analogy of Ukraine being my birth mother who gave me up for adoption, US welcomed me and I moved on immediately, you know, and so I proudly represented US from day one as a competitor. And now I'm flying overseas. Now I'm representing a country. This was also the first time I got to do that. Not because I would not have gotten to do that in Ukraine. By the way, we don't know. But if I were to continue dancing, I would have probably, you know, fought for the same. But I felt like it was a big deal bestowed on me. You know, myself and Val, we rapped hard immediately. And so.
And wait, you were that good, like in all of Ukraine for your age, you were that good. Like you would be ranked in the top, you know, tier, like that. You were like, the Olympic athletes of dancing at that time.
At that
or were you just very good, but that's a big deal in the US?
I was not very good in Ukraine. but I was great in US, because in US it was just the beginning stages
I got it.
of the teens and the youth as we know it now, and today, obviously, we're Dancing with the Stars as a concept that came on television in mid 2000s, 2005. We had a big renaissance of ballroom in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is this? What do these people do? Like, what do you mean? I'm a US national champion. My brother's a 17-time US champion, world champions, all of these sort of like things started to come up, and people realized there's a huge industry, that we didn't know about. So, I was given this incredible opportunity. Came from Ukraine, didn't speak the language, but had a skill.
Mm-hmm.
Started dancing when I was 4. Like I said, 14, I was not very good in Ukraine standards. Everyone danced. Very hard competitive career to follow, but I would have done it. But I had a different path.
Nice. Wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting. That's like when people go over to, play basketball in Israel or something. It's, or Greece.
True. And then come back and actually do, because what happened is US is in the way that it was at the time, and the confidence that it was giving us, because the pool of competitors was much smaller. We were building the industry. We were then going out and representing US at the Worlds, and we were doing amazing things.
Well, that's interesting. You're saying, if that's an interesting just note for people, if you're in a sea of a bunch of people like you that are doing what you're doing, and you don't seem like you're shining, to go be a big fish in a small pond, then come back to the big pond, you might have a different bravado, a different confidence, a different skill set, where maybe even your charm or your personality comes through, or some other thing comes through, so you could succeed back somewhere where you were just flat.
I mean, we're jumping, but, as a young father to a 5-year-old now, I think about this all the time. What skill set? How do I use it? What do I give him?
Mm-hmm.
How do I boost his confidence? And then I get stuck on that boost his confidence. I'm like, my confidence was boosted when I moved to US, and all of a sudden dance became my high card. It wasn't like I was part one, like you said, I'm in a big sea of like a lot of fish. I got this pond, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to take this opportunity, and we ran with it. And so the confidence, I was going to say, the confidence that you get from an opportunity where someone comes in and says, wow, you're great, you're special, this is a special skill. And when you hear that, I'm like, you know what? It is a special skill. And just because I'm in a class or in a city or in a country where it's super popular, everybody does it, doesn't mean my skill is not special. People forget that. So
funny. So true. It's true with kids, because I know some people who have kids and they're frustrated that they don't have a passion. Like, you can't just force that. And they're frustrated that they don't have some purpose that they funnel their energy into. My daughter is an artist, and she is passionate about it. She'll sit in an art room for hours and hours and focus on it. So that's
so beautiful. Thank you.
So she made I think 25 of these. She made $12,500 for Ukraine. But it's nice for kids to have something. It could be anything. It could be collecting buttons, and just to sit in a room, not be on the phone or the TV, and to funnel and channel your energy. And so I foster that. Her teachers say she's the best in her school. She's very good, but I don't know, in the world, it doesn't matter. You just feed it. I keep feeding it and, telling her how great it is. And you want to promote that because you want them to just feel special at something. So I agree with what you're saying, because it boosts confidence.
I'm actually just quoting Peta. I got to admit that, she brought a lot of what I never had, or, the perspective that I never had into my life. And when we got together, Shai is like a perfect, I hope, would be a product of the both of us. I'm going to bring whatever I bring. I just feel like she levels me, and she focuses my, this sort of spread out kind of energy.
You're a dreamer.
I'll go hard everywhere. And she's like, well, why don't we just focus on things at hand? And amongst other ways that I feel now, I'm realizing that she's controlling me. To be honest, I'm just kidding.
Well, you might need it.
But that's the reality, is that, I know hard upbringing. You know, I'm not gonna say that our parents beat us. No, I got ass whooped a couple of times, but that was like not. You know, I was loved, and that's what made us not just survive Brooklyn and the mid '90s, but you know, get better and grow and self-educate or educate and be, you know, take things in. You know, we stayed passionate because we were coming out every door out of our apartment and we're like, let's go get it. Because every night when we come home every evening and I feel like you know, I don't have any friends. I don't have a social life. You know, I feel depressed as a teenager. I'm already depressed and I'm depressed and I don't even speak the language, you know, and so all these things, I would come home, I'd get a hug, a hot meal, you know, there was love, a lot of love in the house. And so, you know, they struggled and we didn't know. We knew, but it was kind of like everybody struggles, sort of like we made it normal. And, you know, let's go get it.
It's great to come from something like that, the pride to build something, to see it on the other side now, to then see your parents differently. I mean, all of that is really creates a texture in a personality. And I'm seeing it with you, and we'll get to Ukraine, but I've seen it. You know, like I said, I don't know you that well, but I'm seeing this come through. You do need to be harnessed in different areas. We even talked about that within Relief. You wanted to do everything and you got to be really focused to make an impact. But by the same token, I'm seeing that all of this purpose sort of coming to fruition in your life at the same time. It's overwhelming. I get it too. You know, you're not sure. We only have so many years on this planet and you're trying to figure out exactly how to focus and channel your energies on bullshit, on money, on this, on that, on philanthropy. I mean, you know, on relationships. So Dancing with the Stars you didn't come to this country for Dancing with the Stars. You came because of dancing, and you know, it did create this resurgence or almost a beginning for ballroom dancing in this capacity in this country. So it's weird, this intersection of luck and your skill and the entertainment industry that all came together, probably for a lot of the people on this show. It must have been like, holy shit, we're just dancers and no one cares what we're doing. We're in this niche little weird world. And now this becomes this mega crazy, really household name hit. So how did that whole thing come together?
Well, I mean, you know, we didn't think that way, you know, so the timeline is now 2005 is 11 years after we've arrived in US. And so in the 11 years leading up to, you know, we've done a lot. We've grown up. I'm now a professional who's basically retired from competitive ballroom dancing by going on Dancing with the Stars. I didn't know it at the time, but that's how it happened, right? No one was ready for that. 2005, I'm 25 years old.
You weren't the first season though? It was already a success, or it was not a success?
No. Well, I missed the pilot season, which was during the summer, 6 episodes. And then the second season, when it was coming around, I would get the same call. And the way it was made, these calls were made is by now, ballroom dancing is an industry. It's an industry in the United States, and it's a well-represented industry by us. Val is now a 2-time world champion. You know, I'm now a big-time, you know, professional.
But I hadn't heard of either of you at that point.
None of us. But I've been signing autographs in Germany since early 2000s.
Oh, okay.
You know, because outside of the US, we're a big deal. And so now you got this ballroom dancing come to the big screen, the television, right, at the time. And so people are looking at it like, this is dope. This is awesome. I like it. It's corny. It's cute. It's funny. It's interesting. It's athletic. They all have accents. Why is this guy on my television speaking the way he's speaking and saying just weirdly constructed sentences? You know, but then he does the cha-cha and I dig it. So
that was such a good description. That was awesome. From cute to that was great.
Hey, listen, you know, somebody told me one time that like the success of Dancing with the Stars is in the fact that it was never number one. It was always like top 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. And so if you're number one, if you don't retain number one, you'd be like, when you're 2 or 3, it's like, okay, it's time for that show to go. Dancing with the Stars, it's somebody's favorite pastime for generations at this point.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I mean, we were competing with Monday Night Football for damn near a decade and a half.
Amazing. But what's jumping off the page, it's funny because years ago I was on The Apprentice, and when I did that show, my friend said they didn't show that you were funny, like, because it's all about the competition. It was about the competition. Yeah. And even more so, obviously, on Dancing with the Stars, your personality, I don't even think ever comes across. Like, you're cute, you're funny, you're handsome, you could be a little tough, you know, whatever. You're good looking, but like, you're fun. I mean, even the way you just described that, like, they should have had you doing the promo. I don't think your personality, even to this day, and even with the relief work, you're so intense about it because it's obviously not cute and charming, but you have a really funny personality and a really good way of putting thoughts together, in my opinion. You're a good communicator.
Now that, you know, the subject is popular and we can talk Ukraine, but the city I'm from, Odessa, is actually known for its comedic backgrounds in former USSR and just in general in that community. But yeah, no, we just have fun sense of humor. And if you lead with self-deprecation, you can just go straight up, be a stand-up comic if you just vocabulary to follow with. So look,
you should try it.
I have a couple of moments in my illustrious Dancing with the Stars career that are still famous for. It's just, I can't believe this guy just said that. Like, what? I cannot believe he just did that, you know? And so, and this was naturally coming out. But, you know, I was going to answer your question about, like, people don't know me. I agree with that because there was a moment when I was just completely always disappointed with the way I look at packages. At some point, there was a period of time when I was, you know, that moment they show before you dance. And I'm like, wow, I look like an asshole. You know, like, why am I constantly this D-bag, right? Like, why is this? This is not how I feel. This is not how I feel me. I'm proud, I'm funny, I'm like, you know, suave. But as a joke, this isn't never serious. But anyway. Someone told me at that time, one of those high-end execs in charge of all this stuff, and I remember I, you know, complained. He's like, look, if you don't say it, we don't have it. I'm like, okay, cool. So at the moment I was like, right. But then I followed up with, but I give you 50 hours of rehearsal time. At that time, unregulated. I have a person that just needs a lot of time, and I dedicate myself. I give it 40 good hours of, I'm in the room, I'm rehearsing. And for 30-second piece, you're going to choose only that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So for a long time, I thought it was on me. It's not. It's on the way that they need to have been a character that's tall, dark, says nonsense, and is the, you know, not per se Gaston, because you never really feel bad for him, but I'm like that antagonist character that was chosen to be, and I didn't know that I was
right. I don't know, because I think, like me, you have a resting bitch face.
That's my, just like, you don't know.
I understand.
On the inside I'm cute and cuddly.
I understand, but you're intense. I may be very cute and cuddly too, but I'm intense. And so when people see your resting bitch face or how intense you are, listen, I saw how you were during what went on with Ukraine, and it's intense. You're hyper focused. It's the only thing you're focused on. And that's how you are with dancing. So good, because it's hard for people listening who are into business. You can't be a jack of all trades when you're so intense about business. It's very serious. It's money. When you're doing relief work, it's very serious. When you're dancing at that competitive level. So you are intense in that way. And that's what comes across. And frankly, that's what the show was about. It was about the competition. That's why I mentioned it, because I went through that with The Apprentice.
It was not. The show was not. That was to me. That was my intensity. And that was the root of all of this stuff.
Oh, I'm the same. I get it. No, the show's to entertain. I get it.
I didn't know that. I thought, oh, damn, I was given an opportunity. Here you go. What do you do best? And I'm like, I go for a win. That's my best quality. Like, you put me in the front start line, and if the end result is about who finishes first, I'm gonna give him my all. You know, and then there's no dispute, right? But then there was another component. This is entertainment, and another component. It's not about you,
right?
And another component, they're judges. And this is also not about anything. So it's like just a lot of things that I was not ready for at that time.
Well, it's all about the Benjamins, baby. It's all about business. It's all about ratings. So if that's entertainment, if that's the competition, if that's sex sells, that's what it is. That's what it is on Shark Tank. That's what it is on The Apprentice. That's what it is on all of these shows. That's what it is on Housewives. It's about the money and the selling. So how are you bringing people into your store? So whatever it is that people are doing, they have a store. Those are the windows. How are you decorating your windows? And if it's you being that guy, then that's how that window gets decorated. And that's what you're portrayed to be.
I didn't have somebody tell me that. I had somebody tell me that probably along the way, but no one really set it down. Like, listen, you're not listening. You just listen to what the words are, because I heard like, hey, you can't be this, or hey, you shouldn't be that. And then my grandma's like, Maksюsha, no, what, why would you say that? So it was never like, hey, you know what? You can do that, right? You can express yourself. You can continue running your brand, right? What I understand now, but you can do it in a way that everybody doesn't cringe, on Monday night when they relaxed after a long day of work and they don't want to see that. That's a different program, right?
But even in non-entertainment, even in regular business, people have to stand back and recognize that. When I wanted to be on The Apprentice and I met with Mark Burnett, I was about the business. I'm successful. I'm not successful. I'm smart. I'm motivated. I'm whatever. They wanted, yes, you had to check that box to get in there, just like the dancing. You can't not know how to dance, but they wanted entertainment. And in business, the people that are going to succeed is the one who's going to be a bit charismatic in the meeting, or the one who's a little bit intense, or the one who gets their thoughts across, or the person who everyone wonders what they're thinking. It's the same thing. You have to be compelling to get your point across one way or the other. I mean, I have people that have worked with me, assistants and staff. If they're pleasurable to be around, if they're entertaining, if they're fun, if I enjoy them, that's going to work better than somebody who's not pleasurable to be around. So it's interesting how it works in so many different ways, even if it's not entertainment. It's about what's drawing people in. And by the way, in philanthropy too, what's the message? I bet you saw this, and it's frustrating. Philanthropy, for many people, philanthropy is marketing in many ways. So 10 different people want you to bring money into their places, right? And many of them are middlemen and women. Many of them, these celebrities, now you probably know so much more than you knew a year ago. I've been doing this for a while. Celebrities, link here and donate here. But that celebrity doesn't know what that thing is. That's to another place. So now you've stopped on a stop and you're giving money, but they're saying, but I'm going to tell you to give money to me and I'm going to give it to them. Well, I want to talk to them. So I tried to be the them, meaning, no, I'm in control of the money. So this is where the money's going, being transparent, talking about the problem as you learned. You were telling about the problem in Ukraine. Then you were trying to direct people. Right. But as you saw, people get over it. It's cool for a week. It's cool.
Yeah.
Just like it's cool to watch Johnny Depp this week, but not next week. It'll be somebody else's divorce. Last week, it was cool that J-Lo was getting engaged. Someone else next week. So it's weird because philanthropy, which you just got a real intense dose of, is also marketing. It's a not-for-profit business, but you have to find your way in and know when to pull in. Right. So anyway, I want to hear your experience with that.
Yeah, I had a crazy entryway into philanthropy, into world of fundraisers and charitable life, if you will. Back in the day, I just started playing golf, and we are hot on Dancing with the Stars. This is like 11, 12, some 13, 15, I don't even know, years ago, something like that. And I literally just hit the club for the first time. I had no business playing on the course. And a friend of mine calls me, he's like, hey, I was supposed to do this golf tournament, you go. I'm like, sure. I went. And it was for fundraiser for celebrity golf tournament for child health. And I had no idea what that is. And so I got there and I see this expensive experience of golfing, and then you get together and there's an auction and then there's a night after and a gala. And I was like, they're really raising money for these battle, severely abused kids. I'm like, I want to see that. I don't know. It just irked me when they were talking about this. I was like, oh, this got really down for a second. I've never been to these functions before. It's fun. It's everybody's communicating, and then boom, down, and fundraiser starts, and they say that stuff, and you look around the room and like, well, It's not the right entertainment, program at the moment, I thought. And I was
Meaning it's tone deaf to be here with all these celebrities at the highest level talking about this thing. You'd rather just go direct. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, they started announcing, like, here's the the pictures, and I'm like, wow, this is really dark. I'm like, is this event kind of like for that? But then, so I got really confused. Anyway, so I wanted to follow up. I went out and I visited one of the villages, and it just blew my mind. Once you see kids that were severely abused, she's tagging on your leg, and she's like 9. It's
village where? You said a village.
Oh, so Child Help, this organization, has 3 villages in the United States. The big communities where they bring the kids, rehab them, do their best. And so the point of this whole thing was, this is a 95+ million a year type of fundraising organization. So it's a big deal.
Wow.
70s, it's a big look. I learned a lot, and I understood the value of entertainment as part of this, because you got to give somebody, an opportunity to donate because they're having such a great time. I learned the fact that you can't, really frown upon the way people donating, because who cares why he writes a check and with what face, as long as he writes a check or she writes a check, and this goes to, the foundation. So, but then I learned the business side of this whole thing and the dirty side of some other stuff, not through Child Help, but through just in general, fundraisers and everything else. I helped build foundations and organizations. I've left some because I was like, that's not the way, I like this to be organized, and that's your way of doing it, and I don't want to be part of this. When Ukraine tragedy happened, and I happened to be a judge on a TV show in Ukraine.
Crazy.
A judge on a TV show. At that time, I spent like 8-9 months actively working in Ukraine since last year, since 21. And I've started to, take in a lot of relationships, and I created a lot of new relationships. And that's why, not to jump out, but for me, this war has faces, names, last names. My manager, who's now a refugee with her kids. It's just a lot. We'll get there. But, now I was there for consistently long enough and deeply rooted enough.
And reconnected back with your roots.
And now that, I've rekindled and we've made up with my birth mother. Still love my mom, because that's US for me. That's my home. I'm from, that's where I'm at. But, this is now a relationship I want to continue, and I want to continue figuring out. I was welcomed by the country. I was welcomed by the people, and I had a great time. The war starts. And so I feel like it was that moment when, I was for the first time in that Child Help village, where it just shocked me. There was a moment when a little girl tagged on my leg, and she couldn't have been older than 9, and kind of gave me a look, slapped me on the butt, said something sexy. I just blew my mind. And then they took her away, and the gentleman was explaining to me, like, yeah, she was, raped since she was a little girl. And so she's like in rehab, and it was just like mind blowing. Oh
my God. And wow. That's a crazy story.
That's a crazy way of getting into understanding why, no matter what, it is important to raise funds for this organization, for this type of foundation, because that's what they're dealing with. That's what they're doing. So now it all made sense to me. I was committed. Cut to.
That's years ago, and now you're connecting to Ukraine.
Where so literally cut to, I'm in Kiev, and I'm now professionally, committed to charitable opportunities. Because why else? Because I'm a TV personality. What do I do for the world? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I pay it forward? How do I earn that karma? It's not the cha-cha because I made you feel good.
Right, that's not enough.
But what else? It's not enough. And so I created this sort of sub-world of just, helping and being charitable. I'm in Ukraine, cut to February 24th, and I'm shooting a TV show, World of Dance in Ukraine. And I wake up and there's war, and so then I got stuck, whatever that process was. And in the process, I'm now communicating with the people that I judged yesterday at dance competitions. And today he's at the front line with a gun, and I can't even connect the two, and I can't process it. Then the bombing started. Then Bucha started. Then, all of that nonsense started. By the time I got out of Ukraine and made my way back, and I was in Warsaw, it was full-blown. It was a war, and it was war on the people that I now am. These are my people, and I'm proud of these people. The Brooklyn is my people. The U.S., you know me. You love me. You love me. You love me in Kentucky. You love me in Alabama. You love me because I've traveled this country, because I've done it. If you don't like me, I love you too. But I'm saying I've been here. This is, I'm figuring out, I'm exploring other people, and I've made this crazy connection. And it happens to be where I'm from. And we speak the same language, and they're getting bombed. And then bomb shelters.
And it all happened so quickly. You just
the executive producers of my project and bomb shelters. I can't even call them and be like, hey, get me out of the country, because I'm like, what kind of person am I? She's got kids. She got to deal with that first.
Right. That's crazy too. Right. They're the ones in charge to help you as a talent, but it's every person for themselves, because it's a shit show. That's a great point.
And I try to get myself off of anyone's responsibility. The rest is sort of history. Now I'm I made my way out to Warsaw. I look back and I'm like, there's no way that this is end of me in relation to that. There's no way that I'm going to wait this out and get back to guys call me when the show is back on. I feel so bad for you. There's no way that that's my step. Regardless of what I feel and how maybe I was just too stressed, and this is a crazy experience. Trust me. Well, trust me. For the people that are in it, we're talking levels, right? But for me, it was like an entry level experience in the war. Thank God I didn't get shot or even shot at, but it was terrifying to be anywhere in the vicinity of that.
Oh no, you got a complete wake up call about life in general. Nothing, whether you're Ukrainian or from Brooklyn, it's just crazy that you experienced that. And then you came home, and I know because we spoke, and you just wanted to be of service, and you wanted to go back, because everybody's goal is to get the hell out of there. So you got the hell out of there, and then you felt like, wait, now, you're shell shocked, post-traumatic. So you go back, and I know that you connected with my team and other teams, and were there for how long when you went back?
So, before I went back, I was, we spoke. And I literally just wanted to hear what am I doing? What is this? How do I process it? And you were, kind to just explain stuff and put everything in perspective, and also give me a look into the business side of that too, because now I'm trying to be productive in a new era, so in a new direction, taking with me everything that we have and that I've learned about even business. My dad was so successful with the Fort Lee, the New Jersey, set up, and then the sort of the scale of Bar Nova 27, the organization that we started, because we were able to, apply all the tools and elements of running our own, multi-locational corporation of dance studios.
Because you're talking about scaling it. You scaled a small business. You're trying to scale a small business.
Right.
And that's what I was trying to say to you, that with philanthropy, there's only one you, and you have a voice, and you have millions of people listening to you. Right. So you could go do this one thing that is going to be lovely and nice and go into one house and help one person, or you could scale this, which is what we've done. And so it takes a while. And I had to learn that too. You get sucked down every drain, and you go and you want to help every single puppy in every branch and every child, and you got to pick your spots.
Yeah,
so
because
it becomes a scalable business.
Yeah, because what people don't realize is in a conflict, in war, I just don't want to confuse war with conflict, but in a situation of this magnitude, I mean, you know how they say every little bit helps? I don't know about that. Every little bit makes it a messy situation.
Thank you. I'm so glad. I can't believe you just said that. No one said that. except for my partner, Michael, who you know, and I, people all the time, people in the entertainment industry, very successful people. I want to bring my son over. We have a trunk full of clothes. We want to bring, I'm like, and I don't mean to be rude. I'm like, we have a $150 million operation. If you know someone at Toys R Us that wants to send me $10 million in toys, I can distribute those. But a trunk full of clothes, I can't help you with. Or people, we want to go over there. I want to bring my child to go over there. I'm like, okay, so when you get there, let me, like, how do you coordinate it? I'm like, I'm not running like a teen tour. I've got, so the little things sometimes, and what I mean to not be negative to people who want to help, because those listening, go to your local school, church, get organized, collect everything, sort it, get volunteers for that. Then be like, we have this. We have 100 T-shirts in these sizes, and then we can merchandise it. But
you are scaling a small business. You just said that. You're talking about, hey, why don't we organize? Right there, pause.
Right.
Because that's not what she wanted to do. And to be honest with you, I'm going to have to call out some people because now I have that experience too. We are collecting over 250,000 pounds. And with Jem and Be Strong and Mike, it's a small fish in a big sea. But now I'm sort of understanding the process. I know how to funnel it the right way.
Yeah, exactly.
We have collected 250,000 pounds. And I'm going to tell you
aid,
that
he means. He's talking about aid. He's collected aid, and then it's about distributing it. It's like literally like any other business. Is marketing, sales, marketing, distribution. He's got the aid. Now he's going to have to distribute it. Okay.
But I was going to say that I want to call out people who sent us stained clothing. And I'm talking stained like pee stains, like it smells.
Right.
Who sent us past due food. Who sent us past due. I don't even know how you find that. Hand sanitizers, that are like expired. Some crazy things that with expiration date that was like years ago. And the call out is this, like if you decided to use this way to clean out your closet, don't do that.
Right.
You're not helping. Who are you helping? You're talking about people who lived a very, successful life in a European country that have now fled, and you are saying, here you go, you're welcome.
No,
and
that's degrading.
With something so degrading, you're not helping with the process. You're hurting the process. You sort of
but can I say something, Max? This is the thing that I try to tell people because they want to help. People think because they can't give money that they want to help in this way. And people's voice is more important. There are major corporations like Amazon, like Goya, like Kind Bar, like Delta that will help if you're a credible relief effort. Okay. So we have those people. So we implore you to be the voice, the communicators, the switchboard. Max is one voice. I'm one voice. If you communicate what we're doing, those big companies will listen. So rather than dump out your trunk full of clothes, which we'll have to sort and it's not helping, your voice is worth millions of dollars because your voice is who these big companies are listening to. And that's when they'll then give us millions of pounds of aid that we can distribute. That's why people have to be educated, though. They don't know. They just think, let me give them anything. They're desperate and they don't know.
Right.
They don't know people.
Yeah. You're 100% right. I would also say that, if you are an organization like us and you decided to scale and you have this, what they say, organic attachment to the process. We are Ukrainian. Baranova 27 is a street address in Odessa that's literally getting bombed right now. Where I was born, my dad was born, and my brother was born.
Say the effort again. What's it called?
Baranova 27 is the name of the street. That's literally our address of place of birth in Ukraine.
And that's the name of your effort.
That's the name of our effort. Yes.
Okay.
So I'm saying, like, in with the experience of entertainment industry that I have, it made sense. With the experience of the business setup and failures and lessons in business that we have, we're able to grow this. If you are just a very, very sort of philanthropic person by nature and you feel from a very far away, I'm not being facetious about this. I'm just kind of trying to describe the most of the people. When I flew back from Warsaw to Los Angeles, I realized how far away I am, and how far away all these people are. So unless you're into politics and geopolitics and nervous about, economic downfall and inflation and stuff like that, you're far away, you live your life.
You might not be connected to it.
You might not be connected. So if you're very philanthropic in that sense and you saw this on the news and you want to help, send $5 to just $5 to an organization you trust to do this, right? You, me, Mike, us, whoever, just $5. You help more than if you send a lot of stuff that isn't something that I'm going to forward.
Disorganized.
Because now it costing me somehow, some way to dispose of it if I'm not smart enough and I have someone come and take me, right? So like now we're working with other organizations that aren't related to Ukrainians relief efforts, but maybe related to like, we just literally dump clothing we don't need back into those bins.
It becomes a whole, exactly. Well, so you're learning that it's very much like running a successful business. And the thing I want to say about that before we get on to your business is you can't trust every organization or relief effort just the same way that you can't trust every business. If you think that every single business is run well and successful, great. Then that's what you think of charity. But if you realize that every business is not run well and successful, you will realize that every philanthropic effort is not. So do your research the way that you're investing your money to invest in philanthropy. And someone who's doing it themselves like you are and passionate is a good start for sure. Your business. So you went for 9 months to Ukraine and we're on this show. You're still an entertainer. You're still working in the entertainment industry. What is your core business now? How do you support yourself? What's your goal? What are you building towards? What's your business now? What do you do for a living?
I mean, it's interesting because, we have to also mention that we're just coming out of craziness for a couple of years that we've just lived through,
pandemic. Oh, no, I know. And I'm changing my entire career too, but I'm asking
for
if you
some
were sitting
of
next
us,
to somebody on a plane, what would they say that you do?
I'm a dancer. I say, when people ask me like, what do you do? I'm a professional dancer. Oh, great. Oh, it's like that show. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I haven't seen you on it. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not on it now, but what do you do now? Okay, well, now I own a chain of dance studios. We have 14 locations.
Oh, you do? Wow.
High-end social dance studios that are called Dance With Me in 8 states. We're very proud of that. It's my brother, my dad, and our business partner.
Oh, nice.
And the team of people that we've worked with for a very long time, some of whom were my ex-students who became at some point part-time, then full-time. Now they're like, corporate directors. So, we have a great company that we built from scratch. Like I said, learned a lot on. And again, the beauty of that is it's in 8 states, and that gives me an opportunity to experience every kind of person in the United States, and understand every kind of market in the United States. And also maybe we set ourselves up for a little bit of like economic, ups and downs that we can regulate because we are not just in the New York state where, for example, COVID laws were a little different, but we also have 5 locations in Texas where COVID laws were a little different and allowed us to continue staying afloat. So we did some things that, we're proud of.
Well, I guess that could bring me to the last question, which is your rose and your thorn of your career, the high and the low of your career.
The high and the low, I think, if you talk about career and the business and its finances, it has to be financial. The high is, I have, I'm in 2 most expensive, hardest to succeed cities, New York City. I have a mansion and, cars, and I'm supporting my parents and, my brother in a way. And then, I'm also in LA and I'm just like this, bachelor on at some point top TV show, for a short period of time, we were like the top TV show in the country. And probably,
that's arguable. Yeah.
Probably ran sort of like the reality genre of TV, landscape at that time, right? And so I have my life in LA and in the entertainment industry. So I'm feeling that, right? And then I feel the confidence, and I'm like, bam, and then the wings spread, and that's what I realized. It wasn't the confidence, the cockiness, and it's like everyone has that. And I was watching somebody else who's uber successful. Oh, Shaq, Shaq.
Right.
You ask Shaq, he's literally just said that. It's like, you think you're perfect, you're not perfect.
Right.
And then he says, Penny Hardaway relationship was awful. Kobe Bryant relationship, a big mistake. This is the guy who at the time was pumping himself in the chest. I'm the best. You're nothing without me. And I'm like, wow, that's so familiar. And today we respect the guy for his entire career, everything he's done, right? But he's admitting to the stuff that we were witnessing, like, yeah, that kind of seems wrong. Like, don't you think? And, I have to look back.
You're saying you drank your own Kool-Aid.
Drank your own Kool-Aid. I'm saying everyone drinks their own Kool-Aid. Right. I'm saying everyone who gets into this and loses their head with the success drinks the Kool-Aid. I don't have.
That sounds like you're low and you're high. That's your high and your low.
I don't have dimension. I don't have the whips on both sides. If that's how I would say it in BK. I don't have that part of my life. Right, couple of years ago, I was going to say pre-pandemic, things exploded. Personally, not, personally, but like business exploded. There was some other things just exploded, and things that I felt secure about would not, and things that I felt insecure about became the sort of the life, the rafts, right? It's all just a little trivial, but it's all personal. But it's describing what everyone goes through, whether you're, in finance and, you had money in the wrong stock, and then this happened. Or whether you and, me and, I don't know, whether if you're a professional athlete and you, I don't know, God forbid, broke your knee. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I look at it. Like I had a financial career that took a hit, and I needed to, and I got depressed, and there was points and there were low in life. And then I was just starting to come out, and then bang, pandemic. And again, would feel like, oh my God, the world is coming to an end. This is crazy. Why me at this time? This is how you feel. Like, why you? Why the whole planet?
Nice.
And so, and to us, it gave us an opportunity to go, okay, cool. Well, you know what? This is too crazy.
You mean you and your brother, you and your father, or you and your whole family?
Just me by myself. Me and myself.
But this is what you've done. You had to pull yourself up from your bootstraps and figure this shit out. And you did.
Yeah.
Like you got organized, and you did what everybody did in the pandemic. You got your shit together and shook it up.
Yeah. And I feel like I feel different. I speak different. My train of thought's different. I look forward to different things differently, and again, just bringing this all back, and then bam. And it's again, end of the world. We're in war.
Perspective.
What is happening? You know what I'm saying? And then once again, and now it's just an exercise of don't lose your head, no matter what. And every down follows by up. It's just natural way of things. Mm-hmm. The black stripe and the white stripe, so there's certain things you're in control of, certain things you're not in control of. I'm in control of every single reaction that I make.
Mm-hmm.
So
you hit multiple back-to-back doses of reality, but the final dose was the war, which made you realize that none of the shit you were even worried about mattered, and that life and death mattered, and that child trafficking mattered, and family mattered, and being safe mattered. And so you really, I think that's the whole reason for you having sort of PTSD, all of the things you just described, not just the war, but a personal low, a financial hit, a pandemic, a war, and now you're coming out on the other side.
Yeah. Wow. And the perspective is like, listen, the 5 minutes that I was negligent with, spending with my son, man, just don't be negligent. Because when is that, like, you're going to look in the bank at some point, metaphorically, and be like, wish I had all those 5 minutes put together right now.
Yes.
and had more of that time. You're going to feel that way at some point. Not being philosophical about this. I'm
No,
nowhere near the end.
yes.
You know,
You can't get the money. You can get the money. Who cares
yeah.
about the money? You can get the money, but you can't get the time back. You cannot get the time back.
And so it's
not
quality
coming
of
back.
quality time for me at the moment, multiplied by, just quality of time with the multiplied by the right people, really, because then you get something out of it. You give a lot, and you don't, I just don't want to digress, but I think
you're not
one of the
digressing.
things
We're
that
in the
really
meat of
helped
it.
is that the circles also change, and I think it comes with, now you have a kid, you're a different person. You're a different person when you get married. You're a different person when you have a child. You're a different person when you have two, because now you come back out like, guys are back, and then everybody's like, no, we just now got our first, so we only started. So, for me, a lot of that stuff is also relevant. My circle of people changed a little bit. People that are in my house every day are not the same people that used to be, and so it's interesting. Life is incredible.
Well, life is incredible. It's an amazing place to end, but it's funny because you expressed that your rose and thorn are one. They're like a circular reference, the high and the low. Without that high, you wouldn't have hit that low, but that low is now turning into a new high because it's more like it's with perspective. So I think life is beautiful. It's a great place to end. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the discussion, and now really getting to know you, because now I can definitely say I know you, and I appreciate all the awareness you've raised for Ukraine and being so passionate about it and finding that new side of your life, and your wife being the one who was communicating with me, my switchboard operator, to talk to you for the most part.
No, and listen, I thank you so much. And again, I have to mention thank you, Mike. Mike Capone is a big dude, and it is a big influence. I've yet to know him as a person. I'm not gonna lie.
He's talking about my partner in relief work, who's on the ground still in Poland months later, who's dedicated his life to philanthropy, had a very screwed up life, and pulled himself out of the dumps of life on his own. And he's dedicated his life to philanthropy, and we worked together and found each other.
No, it's incredible what you guys have done with Gem Be Strong. And then the lastly, the war in Ukraine may be over soon, may not, but the damage is unprecedented.
Right.
And unprecedented is not a word you can say a lot, right? When I say unprecedented is but we had World War II. Yes, we did. We didn't use things as heavy as being used now. And the destruction was kind of different type of destruction. And I feel like there's no comparison, and it's not about that. But my generation has probably never seen that, and so I feel like the reason why I need to continue doing this is because for a very long time after the relief effort that I chose to be a part of, the humanitarian, is going to have to continue.
Oh, no. Well, we always say we're there long after the headlines fade. And unlike a hurricane, which stops, and then you're dealing with the aftermath, which is horrifying, and we've seen so much in Haiti and New Orleans, this is still ongoing.
Right.
It may not be at the same fever pitch, but once it stops, you're dealing with what you were dealing with after Hurricane Katrina, but you're dealing with lives and relocation and crazy stuff. And not everyone is interested in this all the time, which is why my unsolicited advice to you, Max, is pick your times to talk about it and make it really compelling, because effectively you are marketing. You have to get people interested. And if they hear it too much, they zone out because they want to hear about what somebody wore to the Grammys. They don't want to hear about, people don't want to hear about death and destruction. It's sad, but it's true. So you have to pick
that's my next level of understanding and compartmentalizing my efforts and making sure that I'm still putting out a lot.
Yeah, Michael wants to post 5 times a day, every day, because that's what he's doing and that's his main thing. And he has a core group that wants to hear that. When he wants me to, I actually lose followers, believe it or not. If I post a picture of myself in a bathing suit, it will do very well. But you post a picture of yourself in a bathing suit, I promise you it will do very well. If you post a picture of Ukraine right now, they're full. People are, there might be a cool thing that happens tomorrow where there's a fire somewhere, and that's the cool thing to talk about. And it's sad to discuss it this way, but that's the fact of the matter. So I say to Michael, I'm not posting right now about this because people don't have the bandwidth for it. We'll do better if we wait until they're digesting it and have something important to say and some takeaway, and then we can raise money again. But you have to just remember, you have to go with the ebb and flow. You can't change people. This is the way that it is.
And that's why you're going to be successful, or you are successful in these efforts, because you apply the marketing know-how, the marketing skills. People are yelling at me nonstop, screaming at your phone. They're judging you for what you just said. Like, how can you say that there's people dying? And yes, you're right. But that's why I'm doing it this way, because I can make bigger impact and
big time.
Know exactly how to utilize my voice.
Everybody's talking about how healthy avocados are. Avocados healthy. It's a healthy fat. If every day they're telling you about avocados, you're like, I don't want to eat avocados anymore.
Yeah.
So you have to, it's anything. There are people dying in Ukraine. There are kids going to trafficking. There are orphans we've extracted. $150 million effort. People don't want to hear about it right now any more than they want to hear about my business, my television career, anything. So there's just a way to do it. And it is what it is. So that's why I said a little of that to your wife and to you, because you're passionate about it, but going in and out and finding your way will be really, really amazing. And you've done amazing things.
Thank you, Bethany. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Max. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay, so that was really interesting. I met Max through my superficial life of entertainment and reality television. We stayed in touch. When I got deeply involved in an effort in Ukraine, I realized that Maxim was there and connected with him and connected with his wife and was concerned about his safety and what was going on and how he was getting out. And then he wanted to get involved in philanthropy there. And we have a massive effort, more than $150 million effort that will take months and months to continue with. And we've extracted orphans, and we have multiple warehouses. And my partner, Michael Capone, and GEM, which is Global Empowerment Mission, are still on the ground and doing the heavy lifting, to be honest. And Max went and visited our warehouse, and he became connected, and we've helped him a little bit to kind of give him some of our experience. So he's had an interesting life. I think it's nice how he was humble about taking a financial hit in his life, a career hit, trying to rebuild, then getting hit with a pandemic, trying to rebuild, then getting hit with a war, and just being honest about the struggles. So it was a different type of interview, a different type of guest, and I'm really glad for the conversation, appreciative, and I think you'll enjoy it.